You're sitting at the dinner table. Something happened at school today. Maybe someone said something that really got to you. Maybe you got into a fight with a friend. Maybe you're just having a rough day and you don't even know why. And you look around the table and everyone's eating, the TV's on. Someone asks you to pass the salt. And you realize there is no version of this conversation where you say, "Hey, I'm not doing great today," and it doesn't make things weird. So you don't say anything. You eat. You go to your room. You figure it out on your own. Again. My name is Shaz, and I spend a lot of time thinking about psychology and why people are the way they are, especially the patterns we pick up from childhood that we don't even realize we're carrying. Because if you grew up in a house that never talked about feelings, you know exactly what I'm describing. And it probably shaped you in ways you're only starting to understand now. Every household has unspoken rules. Some houses have the take your shoes off at the door rule. Some have the don't touch the thermostat rule. But in some houses, the biggest unspoken rule is, we don't do that here. That being emotions. Sadness, frustration, anxiety, anything that isn't, "I'm fine." Nobody ever sat you down and said, "We don't talk about feelings in this house." They didn't need to. You learned it the same way you learned everything else, by watching. You saw your parents handle stress by going quiet. You saw that when someone was upset, the response was, "You'll be fine," or "Stop crying," or just silence. And after a while, you stopped bringing things up. Not because you stopped feeling them, because you learned that feelings were a private thing, something you dealt with alone, in your room, with the door closed. Here's what's tricky about this. From the outside, you probably seem fine, maybe even strong. People might describe you as independent, low maintenance, someone who doesn't need much. But inside, there's this weird disconnect. You feel things deeply, you always have. You just never learned how to let them out. So instead, emotions kind of pile up, like a closet you keep shoving things into because you never learned how to organize it. And it shows up in strange ways. You might struggle to ask for help, even when you clearly need it. You might feel uncomfortable when someone asks, "How are you really doing?" Because nobody ever asked you that growing up. You might get awkward when conversations get emotional, not because you don't care, but because you genuinely don't know what to do. Some people who grew up like this become the friend who's always listening, but never sharing. The one everyone goes to for advice, but who never talks about their own stuff. Because helping others feel safe with their emotions is way easier than sitting with your own. Here's something important to understand. Your parents probably weren't trying to hurt you. In most cases, they grew up the same way. Their parents didn't talk about feelings either, and their parents before them. It's generational. It gets passed down like a recipe, except nobody ever stops to ask if it's actually any good. They weren't withholding love. They just didn't have the language for it. They showed care through actions, working long hours, putting food on the table, keeping you safe. In their mind, that was enough. And in a lot of ways, it was. But it left a gap that you're now trying to fill as an adult. If this sounds like your childhood, I want you to know something. The fact that you can recognize it means you're already ahead. You're not broken because you struggle to express how you feel. You just never had practice. And like anything, it gets easier the more you do it. You don't have to have some big emotional breakthrough. Just start small. Say, "That bothered me," when something bothers you. Tell someone you trust that you're having a rough day. It'll feel weird at first. That's okay. Because the cycle only continues if nobody decides to break it. And you can be the one who does.